Hello and welcome back. I'm really glad you're here today. Wherever you are right now, maybe you're sitting at your desk. Maybe you're lying on your bed. Maybe you're walking slowly with your headphones on. I want you to know something first. You don't need to rush. This space is quiet. This moment is yours. Today, I want to talk about something very small, but very powerful. Something that many of us experience, but rarely stop to understand. Why do small things make me angry? Not big things, not serious problems, not life-changing events. Small things. A slow internet connection. Someone interrupting you. A message that feels cold or short. A noise you didn't expect. A plan that changes slightly, and suddenly, something inside you tightens. You feel irritated. You feel sharp. You feel angry, and sometimes you don't even know why. If this has happened to you, you are not strange. You are not weak. You are human. Today, I want to walk with you through this feeling, not to judge it, not to fix it quickly, but to understand it slowly, gently through story, through language, and through reflection. Let me start with a simple morning, a very ordinary morning. I woke up a little later than usual. Not late, just later. The light outside my window was already bright. The air felt warm. I remember lying in bed for a few seconds, looking at the ceiling, thinking about the day ahead. Nothing special was planned. Just work, a few messages to answer, maybe a walk later. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and started making coffee. I reached for my favorite cup, the blue one, with a small crack near the handle, and it wasn't there. I checked the sink. I checked the table. I checked the shelf again. It was gone. Someone had moved it. I felt it immediately, that small, tight feeling in my chest. My shoulders became stiff. My breath changed. I remember thinking, very clearly, why does this bother me so much? It was just a cup. I chose another one. The coffee tasted the same. The morning continued, but something inside me stayed sharp. Have you ever felt that when something tiny happens and your reaction feels too big? Let me say that sentence again, slowly. Something tiny happens and my reaction feels too big. Repeat it after me, softly. Something tiny happens and my reaction feels too big. This sentence is very useful, not just for English, but for life. Later that same day, I was walking outside. The street was busy. Motorbikes passed quickly. People talked loudly into their phones. I was already feeling a little tense. And then someone bumped into me. Not hard, not on purpose. They said sorry, quickly, and kept walking. And I felt angry, not just for a second, for longer than I wanted to. Inside my head, I started talking. Why don't people pay attention? Why is everyone in such a hurry? Why can't I just have a calm day? The anger didn't really belong to that moment. It belonged to something deeper. But at the time, I didn't see that. I only felt the heat. I only felt the irritation. Let's talk about that word for a moment. Irritation. Irritation is not strong anger. It's smaller, sharper, more constant. Repeat after me. I feel irritated. I feel irritated. Now try this. I don't know why I feel irritated. I don't know why I feel irritated. This sentence is very honest. And honesty is a powerful place to start. Sometimes we think anger comes from the outside, from people, from situations, from noise, from mistakes. But often, small things make us angry because something inside us is already full. Imagine a glass of water. When the glass is empty, you can pour a lot inside. When the glass is almost full, one more drop is enough to make it overflow. Small things are often that last drop, that missing cup, that small interruption, that unexpected sound. They are not the real cause. They are the trigger. I want to tell you another story. This one is quieter. One evening after a long day, I sat down to answer messages. Nothing emotional, nothing serious, just messages. One message came in very short. No greeting, no emoji, just a sentence. And my first thought was, why does this sound so cold? I read it again and again. The words didn't change, but my feelings did. I started imagining things. Are they angry? Did I do something wrong? Why didn't they say hello? I felt annoyed, a little hurt, a little defensive. And then I stopped. I noticed my body. My jaw was tight. My breathing was shallow. My shoulders were raised. The message itself was neutral. My reaction was not. Have you ever argued with a message in your head? You read something simple and your mind adds emotion, meaning, intention. In English, we often say, I took it personally. Repeat after me, I took it personally. This phrase means you felt that something was about you, even if it wasn't meant that way. Sometimes, small things make us angry because we are tired. Not just physically tired, emotionally tired, mentally tired. When you're tired, everything feels louder, brighter, heavier. The same sound that didn't bother you yesterday suddenly feels unbearable today. The same comment feels sharper. The same delay feels disrespectful. Let me say something important. Anger is often a signal, not a problem. It's a signal that something inside you needs attention, rest, space, understanding. But we often ignore the signal and fight the symptom. We say, why am I so angry? What's wrong with me? Instead of asking, what am I carrying right now? Try saying this sentence with me. What am I carrying right now? What am I carrying right now? This question is gentle. It doesn't accuse. It invites. One afternoon, I tried something different. I felt irritated again over nothing special. A delay, a noise, a small inconvenience. And instead of reacting, I said quietly, in my head, something else is here. Not something is wrong. Just something else is here. That sentence gave me space. It helped me realize that the anger wasn't really about the moment. It was about pressure, about expectations, about not giving myself enough room to breathe. In English, we often say, I'm on edge. Repeat after me. I'm on edge. This means you are tense, sensitive, easily upset. When you're on edge, small things feel big. Now try this sentence. I've been on edge lately. I've been on edge lately. You don't need a dramatic story to explain anger. Sometimes the story is very quiet. Too many responsibility, too little rest, too much noise inside and outside. There's another reason small things make us angry. Control. We like to feel in control of our time, of our space, of our routines. Small disruptions remind us that we are not fully in control. And that can feel uncomfortable, even threatening, when someone moves your cup, changes your plan, interrupts your focus. It's not just about the action. It's about the feeling of losing control, even briefly. Let me slow down here. Take a breath with me. You don't need to change anything. Just notice. Notice how your body feels when you think about small annoyances. Notice where the tension lives. In your neck, your chest, your stomach. This awareness is already practice. You are practicing English. And you are practicing presence. There's a phrase I often use when I catch myself reacting strongly. This is not about now. Repeat after me. This is not about now. It doesn't mean the present moment doesn't matter. It means the emotion comes from a deeper place, from accumulation, from history, from stories we tell ourselves. Sometimes small things make us angry because we haven't expressed something bigger. Unspoken feelings don't disappear. They wait, and then they come out through small cracks, a sharp tone, a short reply, an overreaction. In English, we say, "It builds up." Repeat after me. It builds up. Stress builds up. Frustration builds up. Silence builds up. And then something small breaks the surface. I remember a time when I was very busy. Every day was full. Every hour was planned. I told myself I was fine. I told myself I could handle it. And then one day, I spilled some water on the table. Just water. And I felt so angry. I stood there, staring at the table, feeling embarrassed by my own reaction. That moment taught me something. My anger wasn't about the water. It was about not listening to myself, not slowing down, not saying no. Sometimes anger is a request from your body, a request from your mind, a request to pause, to simplify, to care. Let me share a very simple language practice with you. Complete this sentence in your own mind. I feel angry when. Don't judge the answer. Just notice it. Now try this. I feel angry because. You don't need perfect grammar. You need honesty. When we name our feelings, they soften. They don't disappear, but they become clearer. And clarity brings choice. Choice in how we respond. Not react, respond. Repeat this word. Respond. React is fast, automatic, emotional. Respond is slower, conscious, intentional. You are allowed to feel anger, but you are also allowed to understand it. As this episode comes closer to its end, I want to say something gently. If small things make you angry, it doesn't mean you are a negative person. It often means you care. You care about your time, your space, your peace. The work is not to become numb. The work is to become aware, to listen earlier before the glass overflows. When we talk about our feelings in English, we are not just learning vocabulary. We are learning how to meet ourselves, how to slow down, how to speak with kindness to others and to ourselves. Maybe tonight or tomorrow, a small thing will annoy you again. When that happens, try this sentence. This feeling is telling me something. This feeling is telling me something. You don't have to solve it immediately. Just listen. Just breathe. Just notice. You are not just learning English. You are learning how to live inside your emotions without being controlled by them. And that is a lifelong practice. Thank you for sharing this quiet time with me. Let's stay here a little longer, not to analyze more, but to soften sometimes. After we notice our anger, after we understand it a little, there is still a quiet question left inside us. What do I do with it now? Not in a technical way, not in a self-help way, but in a human way. I want to share another small moment with you. One evening, very late, I was sitting alone with the lights low. The day had been long, but not dramatic, just full. I remember opening my phone and seeing a notification that I didn't expect. Nothing bad, just unexpected, and immediately, my body reacted. My heart beat a little faster. My jaw tightened again. It surprised me how quickly that happened. Before any thought, before any meaning, just a reaction. So instead of answering, instead of doing anything, I put the phone down and said quietly, almost like talking to a friend, I see you. I see you. Repeat that with me, slowly. I see you. This sentence is not for another person. It's for the feeling. Anger often grows when it feels ignored, when it feels pushed away, but when it feels seen, it changes. Not instantly, but gently. I sat there and noticed something important. Under the anger, there was fear. fear of being overwhelmed again, fear of losing the little calm I had found. And that made sense. Anger often protects something softer underneath. Tiredness, sadness, fear, disappointment. In English, we sometimes say, anger is a shield. Repeat after me. Anger is a shield. A shield protects us. But if we hold it all the time, it becomes heavy. When small things make you angry, maybe the shield has been up for too long. Maybe you've been protecting yourself quietly without realizing it. Let me ask you something, not to answer out loud, just to feel. When was the last time you truly rested? Not slept, rested. Rest is not only about the body, it's about permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to not react. Permission to be unfinished. When we don't give ourselves that permission, the smallest things begin to feel like threats, a sound, a question, a request. Everything feels like one more thing. In English, we say, I can't deal with this right now. Repeat after me. I can't deal with this right now. This sentence is not weakness. It is honesty. And honesty creates space. Another day, I was in a cafe, working quietly. The place was calm at first. Soft music. Low voices. Then a group sat down nearby. They were loud, laughing, moving chairs. I felt irritation rise immediately. I wanted to judge, to blame, to complain inside my head. And then I noticed something. They were enjoying themselves. They were present. They were alive in the moment. And I was tired. That didn't make them wrong. And it didn't make me wrong. It just meant our needs were different. Sometimes anger comes from comparison, from expecting the world to match our internal state. But the world doesn't know how we feel. It just is. So the practice becomes this, not how do I stop feeling angry, but how do I care for myself when anger appears. Care is quieter than control. Care listens. Care adjusts. Care says, maybe I need to step back. Maybe I need silence. Maybe I need to speak. Let's practice a few gentle sentences together. Say this slowly. I need a moment. I need a moment. Now, this one, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And this, I'll come back to this later. I'll come back to this later. These sentences are simple, but they protect your energy. They give anger less work to do. As we learn English, we often focus on sounding correct. But language is also about sounding true. When you can name what you feel, small things lose their power. They don't disappear, but they don't control you anymore. There's something else I've learned over time. When small things make me angry, it's often because I haven't been kind to myself lately. Kindness is not indulgence. It's maintenance. Just like you wouldn't expect a machine to work forever without care. You cannot expect yourself to stay calm without nourishment. Nourishment can be quiet, a walk without your phone, a slow meal, a deep breath before answering. Even noticing beauty, a small detail, a sound, a light can soften the edge. Anger narrows our vision. Awareness widens it. And English, when used gently, helps us widen that space. When you say, I feel irritated, instead of acting irritated, you create a pause. And inside that pause, you regain choice. Maybe you speak more softly. Maybe you step away. Maybe you do nothing. Doing nothing can be powerful. Let me say something very important before we finish. You are not failing because small things make you angry. You are responding to a life that moves fast, asks a lot, and rarely pauses. Learning English here is not about perfection. It's about connection. Connection to words. Connection to feeling. Connection to yourself. Every time you listen, every time you repeat, every time you notice how a sentence feels in your body, you are doing more than learning a language. You are practicing awareness, and awareness changes everything slowly, quietly, deeply. So the next time a small thing irritates you, try this. Name it. Breathe. Listen. And remind yourself, I am allowed to feel this, but I am also allowed to move gently through it. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Let's not rush away just yet. Even after we think we've finished, feelings often stay with us a little longer. They echo. They settle. I want to stay with you in that quiet space after the understanding comes, when things are clearer, but still tender. There is a moment I often notice, maybe you've noticed it too. After the anger passes, after the irritation fades, there is a soft emptiness. Not bad, not good, just open. And in that openness, there is a choice. Usually, when small things make us angry, we move on quickly. We distract ourselves. We forget. But sometimes, if we stay just a little longer, we hear something important. I remember standing by a window one evening, watching the sky change color. The day had been full of small frustrations, nothing dramatic, but my body was tired of holding tension. I felt calm again, but also vulnerable, and I realized something very simple. I hadn't been listening to myself kindly. I had been demanding calm instead of creating it. There is a difference. Demanding says, why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal? Creating says, of course you feel this way. Let's slow down. In English, we often use the phrase, go easy on yourself. Repeat after me. Go easy on yourself. This sentence is not lazy, it's wise. Small anger often appears when we are too strict with ourselves. Too many expectations. Too many silent rules. I should be calmer. I shouldn't react. I should handle this better. Those words shouldn't they add pressure? Pressure looks quiet, but it's heavy. And when pressure has no place to go, it escapes through small cracks. That's when tiny things feel unbearable. I want to offer you another gentle practice, not something to do, but something to notice. When you feel irritated, ask yourself, what am I asking of myself right now? Am I asking myself to be perfect, to be fast, to be endlessly patient? If so, no wonder your body reacts. Your body is honest, even when your thoughts are not. Your body says, this is too much, and anger becomes the voice. Instead of fighting that voice, we can translate it. Anger says, I need space. I need rest. I need understanding. When you learn to translate anger, it doesn't need to shout. Let's practice translating together. Say this sentence slowly. I need more space right now. I need more space right now. Now this one. I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. These sentences calm the nervous system. They slow the inner rhythm. And when the inner rhythm slows, small things return to their true size. Just small things. Another quiet truth I've learned is this. When we feel safe inside, the outside world feels softer. But safety doesn't come from control. It comes from trust. Trust that you can feel anger and still be okay. Trust that you don't need to fix everything immediately. Trust that you are allowed to be human. Learning English here is part of that trust. You are learning to name experiences that once lived only inside you. And once something has words, it becomes lighter. Not gone, but lighter. Maybe tomorrow, you'll still feel irritated by something small. That's okay. Growth is not about never feeling anger. It's about meeting it sooner, with more kindness and less fear. If you remember nothing else from today, remember this. Small anger does not mean small character. It often means a sensitive heart in a loud world. And sensitivity, when cared for, becomes strength. Thank you for walking slowly with me today. Let's continue gently. Even after all these words, there is still something quiet moving underneath. Anger does not disappear just because we understand it. It becomes quieter, more transparent. And in that transparency, we begin to notice patterns. I started noticing mine in very ordinary moments. When I was hungry but kept working. When I needed rest but kept saying yes. When I wanted silence but stayed connected. The anger didn't come when something big happened. It came when my needs stayed unnoticed for too long. Small things were simply the messengers. In English, we sometimes say, I ignored the signs. Repeat after me, I ignored the signs. The signs are usually gentle at first. Tired eyes, a heavy chest, a short breath. But when we ignore them, the message becomes louder. That's when a noise feels unbearable. A question feels intrusive. A delay feels personal. Not because it is, but because we are already stretched. There's a kindness in learning to notice earlier. Earlier means softer. Earlier means calmer. Earlier means the anger doesn't have to work so hard to be heard. Another thing I've learned, and this took time, is that anger often comes from caring deeply. We get angry because we want things to go well, because we value harmony, because we want peace. Anger is not always destructive. Sometimes it is misplaced care. When you see it that way, you stop fighting it. You start guiding it. Guiding means asking, what do you need me to protect right now? Your time, your energy, your boundaries. Let's practice a boundary sentence together. Say this slowly. That's enough for today. That's enough for today. Now this one, I need to stop here. I need to stop here. These sentences are not rude. They are respectful to yourself. Many of us were never taught how to stop gently, so our bodies learn to stop us through irritation, through tension, through anger. When you learn to stop with words, the body relaxes, and English becomes a bridge, not a burden. There is also forgiveness in this process. Forgiveness for past reactions. For moments you wish you had handled differently. You didn't fail. You responded with the tools you had at the time. Now you have more awareness, more language, more patience. And patience does not mean silence. It means timing. Sometimes the most patient thing you can do is step away. Sometimes it's to speak honestly. Sometimes it's to rest without explanation. As we come closer to a natural ending, I want you to hold one final idea. You don't need to become calmer to deserve peace. Peace comes from allowing yourself to be exactly as you are and caring for that honestly. Small anger is not an enemy. It's an invitation to slow down, to listen, to choose again. Every time you notice it sooner, every time you name it gently, you are growing not just in English, but in self-trust. And that growth is quiet, but it is real. Thank you for staying with me all the way to this moment. Let's stay with the quiet for a little longer. Sometimes, after we understand something, after we soften toward it, there is still one last layer waiting underneath. Not a problem to solve, just a truth to recognize. I want to share something very honest with you. There are days when I still get angry over small things. Even now, even after all this awareness, a sound at the wrong moment, a message when I'm already tired, a plan that changes without warning. And when it happens, I no longer ask, why am I like this? Instead, I say, oh, I'm human today. That sentence has changed many moments for me. Repeat it with me. I'm human today. I'm human today. Some days we are strong and spacious. Some days we are sensitive and easily touched. Neither is wrong. The problem begins when we expect the same emotional capacity every day. But we are not machines. We are living systems. Our patience rises and falls. Our energy expands and contracts. Small anger often appears on days when our capacity is low, but our expectations remain high. That gap creates tension, and tension looks for a way out. I've also noticed something else. Very gently, when I allow myself to feel small anger without judging it, it passes faster. When I say, "This makes sense," instead of, "This shouldn't bother me," my body relaxes, judgment tightens, acceptance loosens. In English, there is a simple but powerful phrase. It makes sense. Repeat after me. It makes sense. You can say, "It makes sense that I feel this way." That sentence does not mean you agree with the reaction. It means you understand its origin. Understanding dissolves resistance, and resistance is often what keeps anger alive. There is also something important about kindness, not as a concept, but as a daily practice. Kindness is not only how you speak to others, it's how you interpret your own reactions. When small things make you angry, try to respond internally the way you would to someone you care about. You wouldn't say, "Why are you so difficult?" You would say, "You've had a long day." That same tone is available to you all the time. Let me offer one last simple reflection. Anger does not ask for perfection. It asks for honesty. It asks you to notice when you are tired, when you are full, when you are reaching your limit. And when you listen earlier, anger becomes quieter, not because you suppressed it, but because it no longer needs to shout. As you continue learning English, remember this. Every sentence you practice about your inner world strengthens your ability to live inside it calmly. You are not just learning how to speak. You are learning how to stay with discomfort without panic, to stay with emotion without being overwhelmed, to stay with yourself. And that is a rare skill, a valuable one. Wherever you go after this, into your day, into your evening, into another task, carry one gentle reminder with you. Small things don't make you angry. They reveal how much you've been holding. And now you are learning how to hold yourself more gently. Thank you for sharing this quiet journey with me. Let's remain here just a little longer without trying to arrive anywhere. Sometimes the most meaningful part of a journey is when we stop moving forward and simply sit with what we already know. There is a quiet maturity that comes when you realize something important. You do not need to eliminate anger from your life to live well. You only need to change your relationship with it. For a long time, I believed calm people never felt irritated, that they were somehow above small reactions, that they had mastered something I hadn't. But over time, through observation rather than effort, I learned this. Calm people still feel anger. They just don't abandon themselves when it appears. They don't panic. They don't rush to explain it away. They don't turn it into a story about who they are. They stay, and staying changes everything. When you stay with a feeling, instead of running from it or fighting it, it naturally transforms, not because you forced it to, but because it was finally heard. There is a phrase I often return to when things feel tight inside. This will pass. Repeat it slowly. This will pass, not in a dismissive way, not to minimize what you feel, but as a reminder of impermanence. Small anger feels permanent when we are inside it, but it isn't. It moves. It shifts. It fades, especially when we stop feeding it with judgment. Another quiet truth I want to leave with you is this. You don't always need insight. Sometimes you need softness, not another explanation, not another reason, just softness, a slower breath, a gentler thought, a kinder inner voice. If today, or tomorrow, or next week, something small makes you angry again, try one very simple response. not to the situation, but to yourself. Say, "It's okay." Repeat it, "It's okay." This sentence doesn't solve anything, and that's why it works. It tells your nervous system that you are safe, that you are not under threat, that you don't need to defend yourself. And when the defense relaxes, the anger has nothing to protect. As you continue learning English, remember that language is not only a tool for communication, it is a mirror. The words you choose reflect how you see yourself. When your language becomes gentler, your inner world follows. You don't need to rush this process. You don't need to do it perfectly. You are already doing something meaningful simply by listening, by noticing, by staying present. That is growth, quiet growth, and it lasts. Thank you for allowing this space to exist between us, even briefly. Thank you for being here until the very end. If you are listening to this right now, it means you allowed yourself to slow down, and that matters more than you think. Nothing dramatic happened in this episode. No big solutions. No strong conclusions. Just awareness. Just presence. Just a gentle understanding of something very human. And that is enough. Take this calm with you, not as something to protect, but as something to return to whenever you need it. This is English with Thomas. I'm Thomas. Keep speaking, keep growing, and keep trusting yourself.